I'd like to spend the next little while talking about arguably the most technical aspect of Photoshop, and that is resolution, resizing images, resampling, interpolation, PPI, LPI, DPI, all this technical stuff. And I'll do my best to keep it as straightforward and as simple as I can for you. But as I say, this is arguably one of the most cranial aspects of Photoshop. But at the same time, it's critically important to understand this stuff if you are going to be doing a lot of image resizing and this sort of thing. And what's interesting to me is even longtime Photoshop users, even people who teach Photoshop, don't fully understand all of this stuff. So again, that's why I really want to take the time and really break it down here for you. So what we're going to do here right off the bat is I'm going to open up two images. And now these two images are exactly the same, except one of them is a high-res version and the other is a low-res version. And what we're going to do is we're going to compare them side by side. So for the next little while, it's entirely up to you. You might just want to sit back and enjoy the show and grab your notebook and your pen and jot some notes as we go. Or you can follow me along. It's entirely up to you. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to double click on my gray Photoshop background into my work files folder. And inside the work files folder, we're going to find robot low res .jpeg, and I'm going to hold down Control or Command, by the way, and select robot.jpg. So a cartoon robot, one high res, one low res. So go ahead and pop these guys open. Now, what I want to do here is I want to, as I mentioned a moment ago, compare them side by side. So give me a moment here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to head up to the window menu and then down to Arrange. And we didn't really talk about these here. I thought these were, kind of straightforward, that you could explore these on your own, so we can tile vertically and horizontally. So all I'm going to do here is I'm going to say tile all vertically. And there we go. Now we have this side-by-side comparison. What's interesting to me, and what I want to note right off the bat, is obviously we have the exact same cartoon robot, except one of them is larger and one of them is smaller on screen. In other words, let's take this guy here on the left-hand side for a moment. He's our low-res robot, right? And he's smaller than the guy over on the right-hand side, the high-res robot. Now, if I take the low-res, the low-quality version of the cartoon robot, and if I move my eyeball way down to the bottom left-hand corner into that zoom field, I can see that Photoshop has zoomed me to 100% on this guy. Now, over on the right-hand side, in the high-quality version of our cartoon robot, notice the zoom percentage is not 100%, it's 33.33%. What's up with that? How come one of them is zoomed to 100 and the other is zoomed to 33%? Well, this is the only way that Photoshop can tell us that we have a high-res version or a higher quality version and a lower quality version of the same image. In other words, this is how Photoshop communicates to us. He's going to zoom in closer on a high quality image, and he's going to zoom out further on a low quality image as soon as we open them up. Okay, so we get this visual cue right off the bat, so we know if we're working on something that has lots of quality or just a little bit of quality. All right, hopefully that makes sense. Now, here's the next thing that I want to show you as well. And I didn't really mention this in much detail when we were talking about the Photoshop interface, and we were doing our tour of the document interface and so on. But all the way down at the bottom, just next door to the zoom percentage field, we have this document area. And notice if I compare the two document areas, one of them is measuring in kilobytes, 126.6K or kilobytes, versus 2.15 megs or megabytes. So in other words, we have a very obvious indicator that we have a much higher quality image on the right than we do on the left, because a larger file size is indicative of higher quality. Here's something else that we can do. This little document area here, I can actually click and hold with my mouse, and I get a little info pop-up window related to the quality settings, the dimensions and so on related to my image. So you have to click and hold. You can't just click because it's going to disappear on you. Click and hold with your mouse, okay? So what I'd like to do is I'd like to compare these guys side by side. So first of all, here's the low-res graphic. He has a width of 360 pixels, or 5 inches, by 360 pixels in height, or 5 inches. His channels, his color mode, or his color channels that he has is just one grayscale channel. And then the resolution we are definitely concerned about, 72 pixels per inch. So 72 pixels per inch, 360 by 360. That's really what we're concerned about here. All right, let's go and compare the guy next door. Okay, let's flip over to the high-res guy. Click and hold down on this little document area here, and we'll get the same window appearing. Width 1,500 pixels, or 5 inches, by 1,500 pixels, or 5 inches. Wait a minute, they're both 5 inches square. One has more pixels packed in to those 5 inches than the other. How come? Because this guy's resolution is 300 pixels per inch. So obviously this guy has a lot more pixel information contained in the 5-inch by 5-inch space, thus meaning that he's a higher quality image. There's one more quick thing that I want to show you here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in on my image. I'm going to start with the low-res guy. So I'm going to flip back over to the low-res guy on the left-hand side, and I'm going to zoom in. Use any of the zooming techniques that I had mentioned earlier. For instance, Controller Command Plus. So now I'm zoomed in at 200%, and right away you can start seeing the pixels inside this image. Now I'm at 300%. I'm just looking down in the bottom left corner. Let's try the guy over on the right-hand side. Zoom in on him, Controller Command Plus. And you can see that as I'm zooming in, I'm all the way in at 100% now, and I still have nice, clean, black, solid lines, right? Again, there's more pixel information inside this guy. Let's zoom in to 300%, and you can see that even though I'm starting to see pixels, I still have a much higher quality image on the right-hand side than I do on the left-hand side. All right, so I hope this is a decent introduction to the concept of resolution. There's so much more that I want to show you here, so let's keep going here. Let's keep talking about this issue of image quality and image resolution.